What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the High Tempo Sports Podcast, episode 194. Today, we are back for another weekly episode. We are going to be ranking our top 10 power forwards today, just going over things that we're going to talk about. Another fantasy football talk because it's that time of the year. We're going to talk about training camps in the NFL because that's going down and bad things are going down.
It's the worst time of the year to be an NFL fan.
The first 2 weeks of camp, man. It's just
terrible.
It's a nightmare time. We're going to also do some trivia, obviously, as always. We're going to talk about, early MVP frontrunners in the NBA. Whoa, that seems early. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're on it.
We here.
And then we're also going to talk about Shohei Ohtani, a.k.a. the greatest athlete in sports history, because he did something historic today against the Tigers. But first, we need to talk about something not sports-related. And that is Oppenheimer. We both went and saw Oppenheimer. We're recording this on Thursday night. It's a bit of a late night cast today. It's been a late night cast like every time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we've been doing the Thursday nights recently, and it's working. It's Thursday night cast instead of football.
So Oppenheimer's been out for about a week now. If you've not gone and seen it by now, we're gonna spoil. I mean, like it's been a week. Go watch it.
Spoilers. It's a historical movie. There ain't no spoilers.
Just read a book.
Have you ever read a book
You
before?
know what happens, but what did you think about Oppenheimer?
I loved Oppenheimer. I thought it was fun. For being a 3 hour fun in the way that like in 3 hours I was never bored.
Yes,
and that term of fun. It was a pretty odd movie in the way that it was intense and like slow, but it was still tense at all times of the movie. There was just so much learning going on too. Like there was so much I learned from that.
Yeah, definitely.
I knew that Oppenheimer like invented the atom bomb, but I didn't know anything else about it. Like I didn't know anything about the trial after. I had no clue, and I loved it all. Cillian Murphy was incredible. Robert Downey Jr. unreal. We're something we don't talk about on this cast. We're pretty big movie guys.
Yeah, well, I love watching movies.
I'm a big movie fan.
I still haven't rated it though. I'm still like debate because it's the movie theater bias, dude. It's hard because it really. I want to watch it not in the movie theater, but I don't want to watch it twice and then rank it. I got to rank it off the first watch. Yeah, I liked it a lot though. It was for a 3 hour movie, very engaging the entire time. I never once was like, wow, this movie's boring. And it's like you in a 3 hour movie, you would expect to at least have a 20-minute stretch where it's like, okay, like we get it. But yeah, very good movie. I loved the whole process of like building the city in New Mexico. Los Alamos, I think. Yeah, that was a really cool. The scene where they set off the practice bomb. We talked about this last night, but like what a great scene that was. Like such an intense scene. The build up was awesome. The light shining in everyone's face, and then the sound coming in later. Like that was a super like unique scene.
Yeah, Christopher Nolan has been one of my favorite directors for so long now, ever since The Dark Knight. And then we went on our Christopher Nolan kick where we watched Inception, Shutter Island, Interstellar, and it's every single movie he's putting out. It's just unreal.
Did he do what's the magician movie?
Yes,
he did that. I can't think of it. That's my favorite movie, The Prestige.
Yeah, The Prestige.
Yeah, he did that movie too, right? Yeah, that's a really good movie.
He only has bangers with a lot of times they have either a crazy twist ending or the best sounding movie you've ever heard.
And that's why I was kind of interested in this movie because how can you make this a twist ending? You know, we know what happens. So that's why because that's like his thing. Like it's always a twist at the end where you like realize something, which you still kind of do realize. You connect the dots at the end, you know, like how I mentioned to you about how he was the destroyer of, or the chain reaction of destroying the world. It still did happen to himself, not just the rest of the world. I thought that was a really good connection made in the movie.
And it all comes full circle with the Albert Einstein thing even.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
very, I mean, first part of the movie is that one of the very first parts is the Albert Einstein situation, and it finishes right there as well. And it's that Christopher Nolan full circle, the way those movies always work. He's just incredible. And again, the sounds that this is a movie you have to see in the theater. Unless you've got a crazy sound system at home.
But you could.
Because you can't appreciate this movie fully without hearing it.
Yeah.
Because it's the at all. That was probably really enjoyable.
Yeah, that was very cool.
It's the sound that makes this movie it puts it over the top.
Yeah, I definitely liked Oppenheimer a lot. Definitely the best movie I've seen in theaters in a while. I haven't seen many movies in theaters, but that was definitely a really good movie.
Now we got to go see Barbie.
Yeah, no.
Barbie's outselling Oppenheimer.
I really don't. Yeah, obviously it's gonna though. Like,
why?
Like most of the population's gonna go see Barbie. Like,
yeah, you're right. The kids aren't going to see
exactly, and like it's just like the history people want to go see Oppenheimer.
For sure.
You know, but it's a good movie either way. Like, I don't know. I could see if you don't enjoy like history though.
Yeah, you could find it
I could
boring.
see you not liking it for sure. I definitely could. But
yeah, definitely.
But I thought it was good.
I'm going to see Barbie. I'll be back with a review.
Okay. Next week's episode we'll have a Barbie review.
I will review it.
Before we hop into our topics for the day, this past weekend, early this week, we dropped another 25 words or less video. Easton was absent from the video, but it was an absolute banger. One of the funniest podcasts we've ever recorded. It was just a spoiler alert. Go watch it right now before I spoil. A terrible showing out of Willie and Jacob. Barry Hill and Seth wiped the floor with them. What did you think of that episode?
It was the most chaotic episode in podcast history.
For sure.
In the way that it was the highest of highs on one end and the lowest of. We saw two guys at their absolute peak. That was probably the peak of Seth and Barry Hill's life, like partially. Okay. Jake and Willie, we might have saw the lowest point in their lives up until this point. It was that bad.
It was really bad. It was very poor. It was, like I said, we recorded that early Sunday morning after a long Saturday night, so it was bound to be chaotic from the get-go, and it was everything that I expected. It was hilarious.
So funny.
Go check that out. We'll have another one coming soon. All right, let's get into it. Today, training camp, the big news. Joe Burrow gets injured in training camp today for the Cincinnati Bengals after Jalen Ramsey got hurt, after Garrett Wilson got hurt. Obviously, C.J. Gardner-Johnson got hurt a few days back. But Joe Burrow's injury looked scary because it was a non-contact injury. He was just rolling out right, kind of like tightens up the leg, goes down limping, falls off. He ends up getting carted off, which most guys get carted off for safety precautions. It ends up coming out that Joe Burrow strains his calf, which is not the end of the world. It's not a torn ACL or anything, which he has torn his ACL in his Cincinnati career. But I noticed he was wearing like a calf sleeve already, like on that one that he injured. So I don't know if this was something that already was like a bothering issue for him. But I think he's gonna be okay. A strained calf, to me, I'm no doctor here. I don't think that's like a end of the season type injury, you know.
It doesn't sound like
Right.
it. Any strain doesn't sound like it's going to be the end of the season. It sucks that training camp is the most nerve-wracking time.
Especially the first
training
week.
camp and preseason are the most nerve-wracking times for NFL teams because you just every year we see some important player go down in these unimportant moments. I mean, unimportant. Practice is obviously important,
right? But not
not in a game situation, and it blows. And you're just so worried that it's going to be your team this year that has a season-altering injury. And so far, we've been fortunate. It doesn't look like we've had any of those quite yet. Garrett Wilson looked pretty okay. He walked off the field and everything. Who was the other one you said?
Jalen Ramsey.
I didn't see this one.
This is the big one. Jalen Ramsey is going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. It is confirmed on that. He's going to have surgery. I believe. I can't remember the injury. I literally just saw it. It's a knee or ankle injury. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that. But he is going to be out 6 to 8 weeks with surgery. They said a December return is like. They said he didn't have to get surgery, but if they want him to come back and be fully ready to go this season without potentially injuring it again, surgery is the best case scenario. Ramsey already tweeted, like, get ready for, like, December, late season, like, that late season about to hit different or something like that, which sucks because obviously the Dolphins traded for him this offseason, and him and Xavier Howard were going to be one of the better cornerback duos in the NFL this year. But it's good to know that Ramsey most likely won't miss the entire season as long as everything goes well with surgery. Mm-hmm. And C.J. Gardner-Johnson was the scary one for us Lions fans, as he went down with a non-contact lower leg injury on like the second day of training camp. It was very scary. But it comes out that literally hours later, MRI came through. He's fine. Mm-hmm. And Dan Campbell says he's going to be out for a day or two, which is just awesome.
It's just precautionary.
Yeah, it's when just a guy goes down with a lower leg non-contact injury and gets carted off the field early in training camp. That is such a scary moment. It happened to Tracy Walker last year. He tore his Achilles either in training camp or preseason. I can't remember. And if we would have had it happen to CJ, I would have been devastated because we never got to see him suit up. Mm-hmm. And he's on a 1-year deal. You know, that would have been terrible.
That would have been terrible. That would have been like the season-altering injury that I'm talking about, where it's like this guy was going to come in and be a game changer defensively, and now we don't even get to see him.
The good news is Brian Branch would have given him opportunity because they're similar position guys. But I'm just happy that C.J. Gardner-Johnson's going to be okay. Jameson Williams also did go down with an ankle injury. They said for him it's just going to be a couple-day injury as well. He was just limping on his ankle pretty bad. I think they just said he twisted it a little bit, so he should be okay. But I think they said he's going to have the rest of this week off of training camp just to make sure he's okay, despite having the 6-game suspension. So I'm rocking the J-Mo jersey today in respect for J-Mo. Get healthy soon.
And you're prepping for when he comes back and puts up 1,000 yards in a season.
I'm so excited. Games. God, I can't stop talking about this suspension, man. What are we doing, NFL? Let's talk about the good training camp news.
Okay,
Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was gonna transfer while we're on injury news. I don't think we ever talked about Bronny.
I actually wrote down Bronny.
Okay, cool.
Let's talk about the good training camp news, then we will talk about Bronny. Because we just started this off with bad news, like this.
It's been bad. Like, let's talk about something
good and then a little bad, but it's kind of good. Good training camp news. Have you been seeing these Calvin Ridley training camp videos? My goodness, dude, he looks like we call Tyreek Hill a cheetah. That dude looks like the
Flash.
Yeah.
The Flash would be a good one.
Because not only is he just going fast, but he's going fast and he's cutting fast.
That one route of him compared to Zay Jones, they were both full speed.
And Zay Jones is fast.
Like, he runs a 4.4.
Yeah, like Zay Jones is fast. Like, that video looks fake. I'm actually not going to lie. If you guys haven't seen this clip, which I assume you have, it's pretty viral right now. But they're just running like a little slant route, and Zay Jones goes first, and then Calvin Ridley comes up next and looks like twice as fast as Zay Jones. It literally looks like a fake video. Like, he had to have had a 20-yard head start into that. Like, that was unreal.
He started way behind and was already at a full sprint off jump. That's how fast he looked.
Yeah, there was another video of him in live, like, I don't know if it was 7-on-7 or whatever. But he's just juking out, breaking ankles of the Jaguars defenders, ends up taking it to the house for a touchdown, like a long one, just making insane cuts. Calvin Ridley's stock is high right now, just based on the training camp videos. There's always the overreactions to training camp like this. But, man, it's hard to not be like, especially since we haven't seen him. I
was going to say, I don't know if it's been like this. Like, Ridley was a dominant player that everybody had questions about because, didn't play for his last year in Atlanta, switched teams to Jacksonville, and we didn't see him last year. And now
exactly.
It's like, who is this guy anymore? And
hasn't played with this new team, but
doesn't look like he lost a step.
It doesn't look like it looks like he's gained a few steps. Honestly,
the break might have been good for him. Maybe
he's playing with maybe the best quarterback of his career. I mean, Matt Ryan was definitely. I know you're not a Matt Ryan guy, but Matt Ryan was still good in the Calvin Ridley days in Atlanta. But potentially Trevor Lawrence has a huge year this year. Super excited to see what Calvin Ridley can do, and just that offense in general. Because if he is that guy, I mean, that is a dynamic offense.
That offense looks unreal with their backfield, their wide receivers. They just have weapons everywhere, and you have Trevor Lawrence heading the ship. I mean, this looks like an awesome Jaguars team. Jaguars fans on the up and up. I mean,
they are.
How different are they than Lions fans?
The Jags and Lions are in very similar situations. Like,
I would think so.
Jags made the AFC Championship game, 5-6 years back in Saxonville with Blake Bortles. But other than that, they're a newer franchise, obviously. But as far as just like how the team is built, like they do have their franchise quarterback for years and years to come. We don't really know the answer yet to that. But other than that, we're young teams that are hungry and ready to. They want a playoff game.
Dude, low key, even like the backfields are similar.
But also, like, even though they won a playoff game last year and it was like a crazy comeback, like, we stomped on them.
Oh yeah, we're better than
and
Jags.
We went to that game too.
We have better receivers. We have better running backs. We have a better defense this year. We will, not last year.
No,
like we're like 30th and 15th in defensive stats.
We're really bad. And then Dalvin Cook met with the New York Jets today. Sounds like he's probably going to sign there. I think he's the favorite to go there.
That sucks.
Sucks for Breece Hall. I know that he obviously is coming off an injury, so they don't want to overwork him. But I'm speaking this from a fantasy perspective. I'm sorry, from the human being perspective. Sucks for both of them fantasy-wise.
That's what I was just going to say.
He goes to Miami, like, both of them are nuts in fantasy. Now it's like, who do I pick? It definitely makes things tricky.
Yeah, it sucks for fantasy purposes. The best part about fantasy is the amount of good players. We would love to see. We don't want to see all these good running backs on one team.
Yeah, exactly.
Go to Miami, dude. They don't even have a running back.
And he would be so good in that system, too.
My
like,
God.
they would use him so well.
Him.
Let's mention Bronny quick before we get into full fantasy talk. Bronny James had a cardiac arrest at a USC. I don't know if it was an actual practice or an open gym or whatever. But he went to the hospital, and it was very shocking news. He has been released from the hospital, and he's A-okay now. But what a scary moment from an 18-year-old kid who I would assume is in very good health based on the athlete that he is, you know?
Yeah, it really, I mean, it's such great news. You know, shout out Bronny and the whole family. He was discharged from the hospital today, like you said. So he is doing much better, but it is just such a scary moment from, and not even from the basketball perspective, from the human perspective.
It's an 18-year-old kid.
That's a heart attack. That is unreal. I just hope he ges better, and I don't know what this means, because it feels like this whole cardiac arrest and thing has been happening a lot more recently in these high-level athletes.
Right. Scary.
It's just extremely scary, and hopefully we find an answer for what's going on.
Yeah, and I hope that he's doing well, and I really hope that this doesn't affect his – I shouldn't think this way, but I hope this doesn't affect his basketball future. You know, we saw this happen with Sharif O'Neal a few years back, and obviously this really affected him. And he is playing basketball again, so that, you know, it's different. But yeah, I hope everything is cool with Bronny for sure. Okay, let's get into some fantasy football talk. So last week I did Who You Taken Fantasy Football Edition. I'm going to post those clips on TikTok. I'm going to post these ones as well. So we're going to have hella TikTok content coming out here. But Easton has some Who You Taken today. I also do. I did more because it's just like there's so many guys you can do.
It's so much fun, too.
But basically, he's going to give us two guys, and I'm going to say who I'm drafting over. Like, if they're both on the board and I need one, I'm picking one of them, which one am I picking, basically?
So my first pick'em is between Deebo Samuel and Keenan Allen. This is right around the third round. You can get either one of these receivers. And I'm curious, what do you think?
So this is a tough one because Keenan Allen is older. Keenan Allen has struggled with injury over the past couple seasons, not like terribly. Deebo Samuel has definitely struggled with injury. After Christian McCaffrey showed up, Deebo was kind of iffy. I mean, he would have his games. His run usage was definitely lower. Oh, I just feel like with the addition of Quentin Johnson into the LA Chargers offense, I can see a world where Keenan Allen starts to get like phased out at some point with his age. I think I'm going to take Deebo Samuel, but I don't like taking either of them, honestly. Like I'm cool with like avoiding both of them. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Neither one of these receivers typically are like in a spot where I can draft them either way. I think depending on what you take, if you took a couple of really safe players through your first two rounds, I think you could be happy with a Deebo Samuel. Because I think he's got that extremely high upside. He's a big-time playmaker. If the 49ers look to feed him a little bit more, it could be really... But they're dynamic in the way that they get everybody involved. So it's kind of an issue. But I think I'm going to be different. I think I'm going Keenan Allen.
You had Keenan Allen last year in fantasy, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And Deebo did come out and say something recently. I can't remember exactly what it was, but he basically said, like, I'm going to prove to... Kyle Shanahan that like I am going to be the way I was 2 seasons ago this season, essentially. So hopefully he can do that. I would probably go with Deebo.
I'm going to do another one.
Yep.
My next one, this is 2 running backs. Very interesting situations for both of them. Dameon Pierce or Alexander Mattison.
Ooh, that's a tricky one.
It is so interesting because of the different situations. And I'm going to give a few. Dameon Pierce is the guy that for some reason everybody's running away from. They don't believe he can redo what he did, touchdown regression. They're worried about it. And Madison is now this guy who's been the guy for so many years that everybody wants to see more of. And now we get to. And it's like, how good do you really think he is anymore?
And also, is he the starting full-time running back? Because they have a rookie running back, I'm pretty sure, on their squad. I can't remember his name. I will eventually know it. And they've talked about splitting carries with both of them. We've never seen Alexander Mattison full-time, like fully. Obviously, in the games where Dalvin's been out, they give Madison 25 carries, and he's phenomenal. And Madison is a pass-catching threat as well. Dameon Pierce is not much of a pass-catching threat. At least last season he wasn't, but that was with Davis Mills, and that was with the old coaching regime. So, we can't really base it off of that. Dameon Pierce is definitely the safer pick. They also signed Devin Singletary, so that's what makes things tricky here. Oh, but I can't rely on Madison being the workhorse that everyone thinks he's going to be with maybe him not being the full-time guy. So I would go with Dameon Pierce. But if you already have like 2 or 3 running backs, like let's say you just drafted running back early and you're kind of like you don't need one as your RB2 essentially, like this guy's a bench guy, maybe a flex guy, I think you take the risk on Madison. But if you need a guy to come in, you want wide receiver heavy, and he's your RB2, I think I would take Pierce.
I totally agree. Dameon Pierce is for sure the safer pick.
Yeah.
He will get his, I don't even know, 80 yards a game.
Yeah, 18 carries, 70 yards,
maybe
a touchdown.
And you hope for a touchdown to make his week.
Maybe a catch, hopefully.
But like Madison could have those explosive weeks where he gets to those 28 points. But I think for sure Dameon Pierce is the safer running back. I got one more, and then you can do a couple, and then I got one more.
Got you.
Justin Herbert or Justin Fields, the battle of the Justins.
So from a non-fantasy perspective, obviously Justin Herbert is the much better quarterback. I owned both of these guys last year. I have Herbert in my dynasty league, so I've had him for a few seasons. And I had Tom Brady in my family league last year, and I replaced him with Justin Fields, which is pretty weird to say.
That's crazy.
Justin Fields is the answer here for me. He's a phenomenal fantasy quarterback. I hate the hype around Justin Fields in real life football, because we're not going to sit here and act like he wasn't the quarterback of the worst team last year and through less pass attempts than a few backups did, I'm not, I would say this a lot, but I'm not on the Justin Fields MVP hype train. However, fantasy football-wise, Fields is a phenomenal runner. I mean, he is going to get his 50 rushing yards at minimum and most likely a touchdown every game. They added DJ Moore. They added some offensive linemen. I don't think that their offense is going to be great by any means, but Justin Fields is going to be a points machine in fantasy. And we really can't trust Herbert off the year he had last year. I mean, he had a shaky year fantasy-wise last season, especially towards the end of the year. I know he really screwed you over in your fantasy league last year. So I think this is a Justin Fields for sure for me.
As much as he screwed me over, I'm still taking him over Fields.
Okay.
I think with the totals that Justin Herbert can reach in a fully healthy season, I think we forget that he was playing with a broken rib for a lot of the year. He was very banged up all year. I think you give him an off season, coming in healthy with Keenan Allen, new receivers, Eckler. I mean, they're all there now, and that's where I'm taking him. I totally agree on the Fields take. I think if it wasn't for fantasy football, people would have a totally different idea of what Justin Fields is.
He's the definition of good fantasy player, so people think he's good.
Yeah, he hasn't proven that he's a good quarterback.
No,
he can run around a lot. But that's great for fantasy.
He's what the Lamar haters think Lamar is, but Justin Fields actually is that.
Yes, facts. That is so good. That is so true.
Plus, shout out Justin Herbert. He just got the absolute Duffy from the Chargers. Definitely deserving. I mean, what were they going to do? Not pay him? He definitely deserved it.
I wouldn't have.
God, I saw a funny tweet that was shout out Justin Herbert for getting some NBA player type money, because it was a similar contract to I forget what it was. It was hilarious though. It was it wasn't a star player.
Mike
I think
Conley.
it was Jeremy Grant money or something, something like that.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious. So okay, you said you have one more.
Yeah, I got one more.
Okay.
Hollywood Brown or Tyler Lockett. This is two of my favorite receivers in that 6 to 7 round, 5 round. Maybe I think they're 5 and 6.
Yeah, something like that.
These are two of my favorite wide receivers to go and get. I think they're both beasts. Who's better though?
So I have actually personally never been a huge Tyler Lockett guy in fantasy. I've actually never owned Tyler Lockett in fantasy, which is weird because I do 4 fantasy leagues and I've been doing fantasy for this is my 11th season of my family league. So the fact that I've never had Tyler Lockett in any league is really
says
weird.
A lot.
I've had Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown should be the clear answer because he's wide receiver 1 and Tyler Lockett is maybe wide receiver 2. I definitely see a world where by week 9 he's wide receiver 3 with Jackson Smith and Jigba being there. But who's the quarterback in Arizona?
That's what you're worried about.
Colt McCoy, is
who's getting the ball then?
Who is the QB? I still think that Hollywood Brown, I mean, he's a deep threat type guy though. Do they have a guy that can sling the ball to him? I don't really know.
Tyler Lockett's been money for 4 years.
And I'm not hating on him. Lockett he's money.
12.
He is a safe guy for sure. I don't know. There's something about Lockett. I just never really wanted him in fantasy ever. I'm going to take Hollywood Brown. I think I'm going to risk it and think that Colt McCoy can get him the ball 6 times a game because they also just have so many receivers that are the same in Arizona, which is kind of scary. Him and Rondale Moore, Greg Dulcich. Who else
all the
is
same
there?
guy. That's not their I know.
And they're all short, fast dudes, so I think I'm taking Hollywood Brown, but I understand if you go with Lockett.
No, I'm a bigger believer in Hollywood as well. I think being the number one option in a terrible, terrible team, you got to force feed him the ball.
Right.
And, 10 catches, 60 yards is a great week versus Tyler Lockett might get his 4 for 40 and a touchdown on his good weeks. I'm taking Hollywood Brown.
And Colt McCoy it's not like he's some rookie that has never played quarterback.
He's bad.
But he's been a backup in the NFL for a good 10 seasons now. Like, guys like that don't stick around if they can't throw the football.
And I guess he's now prepping to be the starter, which is a totally different approach.
And I assume he's the starter. I really don't know.
I would hope so.
They drafted somebody, but they're not. There's definitely not going to start some 5th round rookie right away. I can't remember who they drafted, but they did draft a quarterback. Okay, I have a few guys. Starting off with a Lions one. Assuming that both of these players are healthy week 1. Who you taking? Amon-Ra St. Brown or Garrett Wilson? Couple second-round wide receivers here. Maybe you took a RB. Maybe you went with Bijan in the first round, right in the middle of the first round there, and you're coming back around, and these guys are on the board to be wide receiver 1. Who do you want?
This is so hard. We had this conversation upstairs. That second-round receivers of Garrett Wilson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, T. Higgins, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle. Those 5 guys are all so elite, and it is such a coin flip on who has the better year. I think, however, with the situation that's going on in New York, I think Garrett Wilson's going to have a better year. I think Jahmyr Gibbs coming in, running that, I think he'll be in the middle of the field a lot, an area that Amon-Ra St. Brown typically occupies.
Right.
I think Gibbs will take a few of those catches away really quickly because, we've used a first-round pick on him. And I don't see the competition being as high in New York where I think he can just be unreal week to week. And we've seen what Aaron Rodgers does to his number 1 wide receivers. It's just get him the ball, get him the ball, get him the ball. And that's what I think is going to happen with Garrett Wilson.
I originally was thinking Garrett Wilson here because the year he had last season, you had Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback over Mike White and Zach Wilson and Joe Flacco. Like, that seems like a no-brainer. Obviously, they added Alan Lazard and Mecole Hardman and Randall Cobb and maybe even Dalvin Cook to this mix. But after I hear what Jared Goff says about him texting Ben Johnson and just said, St. Brown, huge year. Ben Johnson said that in a press conference the other day that Goff texted him that.
Yep, I just changed
the other night and just said that. If Goff is saying that, and did you see the clip of St. Brown in training camp, I think 2 days ago? They ran 10, it was either 10 or 12 red zone offense drills from the 10-yard line or something, and Amon-Ra caught 7 touchdowns. He went crazy in the drill.
Yeah, you're right. I'm taking.
And he said he wants to become more of a deep threat this year too, because he really didn't have that in his game. And I saw a couple clips of him running deep balls. Looked pretty good doing that as well. With Jameson Williams being out, we're definitely going to need him to do that. I'm biasly taking Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Dude, but when you say it like that, when you put it like that, touchdowns in the red zone right away. Huge year, Jared Goff. When the QB is saying stuff like that, you know what's going on in the offseason. It's breakfast club type stuff going on.
And they worked. I'm not saying that Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson didn't, but they worked out. There was several clips all summer long of Goff and Amon-Ra working out together in California. Wow, am I excited.
Oh, dude,
okay,
you got me
no more Lions ones.
Yeah, you can't
Psych,
do that.
I got another Lions one.
You were such an ass.
This one's a tough one for me. This is a personal battle for me here. Who you taking, Jahmyr Gibbs or Kenneth Walker III?
Ooh, this is fun for you. This is really fun. Man, Kenneth Walker is somebody that people have become afraid of again. And I don't get it.
I don't know why. Well, okay, I guess I can do. I'll wait. I'll let you go.
I'm not sure on it because I've watched Kenneth Walker the same amount you have. I've never seen the dude be bad. I've never seen the dude not literally
give him the opportunity.
And all I'm saying is in Seattle, he was dominating. He was the best player on the field last year as a rookie. He doesn't just look like he's getting yards, he gets to carry, so he gets to... No, he is breaking out big play after big play. It's 20-yard rush after... Man, I'm going canine. Gibbs is... I like Gibbs. I think his being a receiving threat, I think they're going to use him as a weapon a ton. I could see a ton of screen passes coming his way. Maybe even some middle screens at the middle of the field. But I'm not sure that I believe in it the way I believe in like Kenneth Walker just being a beast again.
And I think it's just safe to say that Kenneth Walker is going to have more volume than Jahmyr Gibbs is. The question is, we're talking PPR fantasy. Jahmyr Gibbs, Ben Johnson, and Dan Campbell have both said he is not a running back. He's a weapon, which is awesome, by the way.
An awesome way to describe
new position. He's a weapon. But for real, though, I mean, Gibbs could be a guy that literally gets 6-7 carries a game like DeAndre Swift did, and he's getting 6-7 catches a game, where David Montgomery's getting majority of the carries. But Kenneth Walker III has a weird situation going on right now. The Seahawks drafted Zach Charbonnet in the second round of the NFL draft, the same round that Kenneth Walker got picked the year prior. Interesting selection. I've personally thought about this a lot because I thought it was really weird. Why would they do that? The Seahawks have had some crazy injury history with the running backs over the last several years. Chris Carson had to retire from the NFL due to a neck injury. Marshawn Lynch obviously was really banged up. Thomas Rawls had 2 years in the NFL where he was really good and then got injured and was no longer good. Rashad Penny, yeah, exactly. Like they've had a lot of injury battles. So my guess is that they don't want to risk it with the Kenneth Walker injury. But they obviously have to play Charbonnet. He drafted him in the second round. Like they could have just took a guy in the fifth round and said, you're our backup. So that's what is a little bit scary about Kenneth Walker. And you know that the pass game is going to be there with Gibbs, but he is a rookie. And we don't know quite yet. We know that K9 had the year he had. I'm also taking K9. But it's tough.
I also think Gibbs is so good through the first 9 games of the year. Or 6 games. How long is J-Mo out?
6.
I think through that first 6 games, Gibbs will... Like, if you can get Gibbs and he goes ridiculous in those weeks. I don't know, though. Lions aren't the team to go away from what's working.
No.
They're not just going to be like...
But also, J-Mo's going to come in and, they're not just going to act like he, is...
Kind of like last year.
Our offense was so good, you don't need to do much. They've really emphasized, once he comes back, he's here. He's arrived,
Well, and that was the issue. Even last year we saw him not complaining, but just I'm open.
Because they were easing him into it. They didn't want to overwork him, but now it's okay, we need to show the world what this guy can do.
Let the dog out, and the best part
is who let the dogs out?
Who knows? Who did? Who? But that streak up the sideline that J-Mo got open on 4 times, and Jared Goff, I don't even think he realizes it. Because he's never. I don't think he's ever,
who's he gonna? Who else is doing that?
There's nobody been able to just burn guys the way J-Mo does. So
super excited for him. Okay, I have 2 more. Okay, never mind. No, I'll do this one. Let's make this one quick because it involves a guy that you already included in one of yours.
Gotcha.
Who you taking? Debo Samuel or Calvin Ridley?
Based on today, Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
His stock's
Debo, his ADP is definitely higher right now than Calvin Ridley. That's going to change, I think. I'm really not either. Like I said, between him and Keenan, I really don't want to. I'd take Ridley over both of them.
I would take Christian Kirk over both those guys.
No, you wouldn't. You would not.
I might.
That's ridiculous. You would not.
No, you're right. That's a stretch. That's a stretch.
Okay, yeah, I'm taking Ridley as well. Last one. This is a lower tier running back one. Let's say you went wide receiver heavy. You really put off taking that RB2.
Garrett Wilson, Jalen Waddle, and then freaking
your RB1
Keenan.
is K9. You put off taking RB2. Who you taking? Rashad White or Isaiah Pacheco?
Oh, those are awful names. I really
hope. A second-year RBs.
I hope I'm taking tight end this round. I hope I put it off for that long.
I mean, if you've put off taking RB, I would hope you've taken your tight end by this point.
Yeah, you're right. Facts. You have Kelsey or you have one of those top guys. I'm going with Rashad White because I think the volume will be a lot more than Pacheco. But Pacheco's got that like big play. They used him, man.
For sure.
He was a
especially
weapon
in the playoffs.
Yeah, they used him. But I'm still just gonna go Rashad White. He's just kind of Leonard Fournette. He catches the ball a lot, runs the ball a lot.
See, I would go with Rashad White, but the Bucks OC the other day was like, Keyshawn Vaughn is our like secret weapon this year. And he's a backup running back for the Buccaneers. So that's like, what? Like, what does that mean? All the quotes that come out in training camp really influence.
Well, that's a confusing quote. Secret weapon. How much does a secret weapon get used? Once a game?
But like, and that's what I don't like. I don't know if it was actually secret weapon, but it was something of that. Like people are gonna know the name, like something like that. So Pacheco obviously went off in the Super Bowl and the playoffs. I'm gonna take Rashad White though as well. Okay, that's it, right?
Yeah, I got no more.
Okay, before my trivia is football today, but we're still going to do that at the end.
My trivia is football as well.
It's time for a quick MLB rant time because we need to talk a little bit about the MLB. How far are we into this right now? At least like a half hour.
Yeah,
right?
35 minutes.
Man, we've been talking about football for way too long. Okay.
Well, it ain't hoop season.
The MLB trade deadline is in 4 days, people, and it is pretty insane. Shohei Ohtani yesterday gets said, Angels come out, we're not trading Ohtani. We're too close to the playoffs. He's playing too good. We're not doing it. Cool, I respect it. Then they go out and make a move in the middle of the night. And they go the same night. They trade for Lucas Giolito and Reynaldo Lopez, starting pitchers from the Chicago White Sox, in exchange for 2 of their top prospects, one of them being Edgar Quero, catcher who's a top 50 prospect in the MLB. So quite the move there. And then we need to talk about what Shohei Ohtani did today. Doubleheader against the Tigers. Started Michael Lorenzen in fantasy. Mistake. Shohei Ohtani tosses out in the first game. Just a casual 1-hit, complete game shutout. His first complete game shutout of his career on 1 hit. And it's like, oh my God, he just did that. He's got to be gassed. They probably better sit him for the next game. Nope. Let me get 2 bombs. And one of them in the deepest part of the field. His second bomb basically in the deepest part of the outfield in Comerica Park. And you did it at Comerica Park, too, which is like not a friendly home run hitting park. I tweeted this earlier, but it was the greatest day of Ohtani's career. It actually could have been like one of the greatest days from an individual player in MLB history. I mean, to throw the complete game shutout, 1 hitter, and then 2 bombs in the next game. What?
It's unreal that he is that good that he can just switch it like that. Like go from I'm the best pitcher in the world to tone and then dial in. I'm the best hitter in the world now too. To be able to switch like that it's unbelievable.
And he leads the league in home runs. He has more home runs right now than Aaron Judge did last season, and he broke the American League record. I'm not sure if Shohei's at 40. I think he's just shy of 40, but he had 2 today, so I honestly really don't know. I understand that baseball is boring. It's a boring sport. But if you are not witnessing the season that Shohei Ohtani is having right now, like it is legit the greatest individual season from a sports player that I have ever seen, at least. And I watched Miguel Cabrera have the Triple Crown. Like this is crazier. And I'm admitting that as a Tigers fan. This is crazier. And
it's not even close, really.
It really isn't. Like, but their team isn't very good, so it's like it's tough. But like, man, this is just, and I don't even care that it happened to the Tigers. Like, I'm still like, I'm amazed at it. Like, I love that, and it's like it's against the Tigers, so it sucks. But it's like, how can you not root for this? Like, this is I have the privilege of watching this guy play baseball, and I didn't get to watch either of the games today, which kind of sucks. I listened to him for a little bit, but I obviously watched the highlights of his homers. Like, unreal.
Ohtani's one of those guys that, like, I don't think I can get a jersey now. Like, it's too late to get a jersey on Ohtani.
Get his next team's jersey.
Yeah.
Because he's still not coming back today.
He's not coming back. They're going to miss the playoffs.
Yeah, so. Also, a quick trade deadline for the Tigers. Sell. You've lost 3 straight games now. You've lost 4 straight games now. Sell. Just sell. Sell your pitchers. Michael Lorenzen needs to get traded. Because you see what Lucas Giolito, the return for him was. Michael Lorenzen's been better than him this year. Eduardo Rodriguez has been better than him this year. Giolito historically has been better. But you see the return that they got for these 2 pitchers, one of them being like mid as hell. Like, we need to develop some farm system here. So go get some prospects. It's still been a good season, though, for the Tigers, for sure. All right, are we ready to talk about NBA? Mm-hmm. Do we want to do the 3 teams that will rise this year?
Yeah, I got 3 teams, but I also feel like they're kind of obvious.
They are, but like we did the 3 teams that will fall last week.
Yeah, we got to pump some teams up.
So last week we did the 3 teams that we think will fall in wins next year, and by fall we don't mean by 1 or 2, like a good 5 wins minimum. You know, they're going to lose that many more games. So this week we're doing 3 teams that we think will rise in wins this season by at least 5 or so. Like you said, there's some obvious ones. I wrote down a lot because I know that we're going to have the same ones. So I wrote down a few surprising ones.
I want to go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
We rarely get to do a list where it's actually logical to put our favorite basketball team on it. Listen, the Pistons are going to take a jump in wins this next year.
I would hope so.
And guess what? We get to actually talk about it and be for real. We get to joke about Cade being on our point guards list. We get to joke about Ivy being on the shooting guards list. We get to joke about Asar being on the small forwards list, Bojan, and Duran. Okay?
Yeah.
We get to joke about all that. This is for real. They're really going to do this. And I'm a believer in that. Shout out the Pistons.
Yeah, they won 17 games last year. I would really hope they can win 22 and prove us wrong here. 25 would be lovely. My first one is the Dallas Mavericks. I think this is quite the obvious one. A lot of these are like young teams that have been bad for several years, and they're finally going to take that next step. This one is not. This one is a team that should have been good last year, sucked last year. They went 38-44. No shot this team goes less than 500 this year, right?
If they do, Luka's gone.
Yeah, I mean, this team will win 45 games next year. I would hope so. They had a very good offseason, I would say, for the flexibility that they really didn't have. And they still have Christian Wood, who they don't have him, but they maybe could potentially do a sign and trade with Christian Wood. Probably not, though. He's probably just going to go sign for the minimum somewhere. But
he's an L.
Dallas, though, is number one for me.
The Indiana Pacers are another team for me. I just think this team is so young. There's no way they don't get better with a superstar like the upcoming superstar that Tyrese Halliburton is. This team's only going to get better. They added another 2 weapons. Jarris Walker is your do-it-all guy. He's going to do all the dirty work for this team. And Obi Toppin, he's going to be really high on my breakout players list.
Yeah,
I think
for sure.
He's that good.
You're forgetting about another guy that's going to do it all who they got, Bruce Brown.
Oh, yeah, this team's going to be nasty. I did forget about Bruce Brown when I was thinking about this. This team's going to be so good because of their ability to play the game. Like, it's going to be a beautiful thing to watch with how they do it.
Yeah.
Why was that face being made? Were you making a face at me?
I was itching.
Oh, I thought you were making a face at me.
Yeah, I agree. The Pacers for sure. Their 35 wins last year definitely could take a jump. I'm going to go with another obvious one here. The Houston Rockets are going to take a jump in wins. They won 22 games last year. They added Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks and Jacques Landale and Ime Udoka. They're going to take a jump in wins. Are they going to be a playoff team? No, but they're going to win 30 games, hopefully.
If they don't, that team is doing something horribly wrong in the locker room.
For real.
If you know what I mean.
What do you mean by that?
If you know, you know. My last team is the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Really? Okay.
They had 40 wins last year, played in the play-in. I guess maybe they're not going to have 40, maybe
they're going to close to 50 wins next year?
I don't know about that, but they're not going to be in the play-in again.
Okay,
fair.
The
Thunder are going to be like a 6, I guess the 7 seeds in the play-in. Okay, maybe they're like the 7, but they're not going to be 10. Like they were 10
do you think they'll get 45 wins next year?
Yeah. I definitely.
Which the leap from 40 to 45 it's significant.
And it's
way different than 17 to 22, you know. Mm-hmm. So I definitely that's an interesting one. I was going to write them down, but I could also see them just going like 500, you know. Maybe I definitely not saying that you're wrong,
dude.
But
Chet's gonna be a monster. I think Chet is gonna be like the guy for this
He could
team.
be
like not the guy, but the guy to put them over the hump.
Yeah,
where it's like, oh shit, they really do have all the pieces.
He definitely could be. A kind of surprising one here. The Phoenix Suns are gonna take a jump in wins next year. They went 45-37 last year. This team screams like really good regular season team. They added a lot of good role players with the very little money that they had after getting Bradley Beal. Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, KD, Josh Okogie, DeAndre Ayton starting 5. That is an elite starting 5 with a solid bench, nothing crazy. I think this team for sure wins 50 games next year. They return to being one of the top teams in the West.
If they don't, that's an underperforming ass roster. I mean, that would be underperforming.
I would think so.
Unless they get like 47 on injuries.
Yeah.
But like, you're fully healthy. If you don't get 50 wins, something's going wrong in Phoenix.
Yeah, I would think so too. That was all 3, right?
Yep.
I had to leave off 2 that I wrote down. The Golden State Warriors were 44. Thought about it. Like I could see them winning 50 next year with Chris Paul. You know, he's a good. He wins 50. He wins 50 games like everywhere he goes. The New Orleans Pelicans won 42 last year.
I was thinking
maybe 50 wins for them. And then the Magic I thought was an obvious one, so I didn't say them. And I kind of thought you were going to say them.
It was too obvious. It wasn't fun.
So maybe they don't. Yeah, who knows?
I also didn't list the Rockets because like they're also our rivals, or the Magic because they're also our rivals.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
In the situation.
Okay, let's talk about the MVP because the MVP award is here. It's time to talk about it.
It's becoming a thing
So
right now.
before I even checked, I wrote down this topic for me and Easton to do, and I looked on FanDuel and DraftKings. They don't even have the odds out. But guess who does? BetMGM does. So we're going to talk.
Detroit.
We're going to do BetMGM today. How many players in the NBA do you think can win the MVP award next year? Realistically.
I would think
Because I have mine, so I could go first if you want. I wrote mine down.
You wrote every player that you think?
That I think can win the MVP. Like not saying that, because obviously like a guy like, I don't know, a guy like LeBron could. Like,
I'm going to be honest. I think there's like 6.
That's it's not that many, but also like
That's a high number.
Let's say it's more than like it should be. I think this year is really good because last year going into the season it was like it's either going to be Jokic, Giannis, or Embiid.
Mm-hmm.
Now that Embiid got his, I think there's a lot of guys that can win the MVP award. Listen to this. I think there are 8 players in the NBA that can win the MVP award next season.
Do I get to argue?
Yeah, for
If
sure.
I don't believe in them.
So the favorite, according to BetMGM next season, is Nikola Jokic at plus 400. I think he can win the MVP next year, obviously. Second, runner-up is Luka Doncic at plus 500. I think he can win the MVP next year. Definitely. I'm not going to list the odds anymore because, like, I don't really care. Giannis, I think, can win the MVP next year, plus 550. I just said I wasn't going to do the odds, and I did. But I think Giannis can win the MVP next year. Do you agree?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And number 10, this is the guy.
This is where things start to get... The guy that I think everyone is kind of favoring to win his first, I think Jason Tatum can win the MVP next year.
I wanted to be the one to say that.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I'm kind of turning this into my own thing.
No, you're all right. You're all right.
But you think he can win the MVP next year?
Oh, yeah, he's my favorite.
Joel Embiid, I think, could go back-to-back next year.
For sure.
Don't see why he couldn't.
He'd have to have everything.
These last 3 is definitely where... Because, like, those 5, I think, are for sure... Like, everyone would agree they could see them winning the MVP. These next 3 are tough. I think Steph Curry could win the MVP next year. I think that he's had a couple incredible seasons. The Warriors have just underperformed a little bit. He was injured a little bit last year. I think Steph Curry can win the MVP next year, realistically.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think he's that type of player, and it's all about the wins of the team. Mm-hmm. If he's averaging 30, doing what we know Steph Curry does, it's too hard not to give him the MVP based on how difficult what he's doing actually is.
And maybe with Chris Paul, it unleashes something, you know? Who knows? I think Devin Booker can win the MVP next year.
I think I'd go KD.
Over Booker?
Yeah.
I did not include KD.
But, like, yeah, one of the Suns has to be in the running.
Right.
I mean, one of those 2 guys has to be a contender. They definitely could win it.
I chose Booker over KD, and I'm a huge KD guy, but I think Booker really is...
you think KD takes a back seat to allow Booker
not
to
really.
be able to do
I think Booker's just like Booker's going to average more points than KD, I think. I think so. And I think that kind of just, like, gives him the edge, you know?
Yep.
Last one. This one is the definitely most controversial one.
Can I guess it?
Yes.
Donovan Mitchell.
I think Donovan Mitchell can win the MVP next year. I think I could so see the Cavs being a 60-win team next year, led by Donovan Mitchell. He was second-team All-NBA this year. Really could have been first-team All-NBA since Luka's team sucked. I think there's a world where the Cavs are the best team in the East, maybe, and Donovan Mitchell averages 30-some, and he wins the MVP.
How electric of a season he would have to win it.
He would. But I think he can do it. But I understand what you're saying.
I'm going to say, I'm going to go with a no. That I don't think Donovan Mitchell can win it. I think when I look through the history of guys who have won it,
he doesn't meet that criteria.
Like D. Wade never won one.
Yeah.
Like, that's where I'm like, Mitchell, man. Like, ugh. I don't know if I'm, but like, I definitely see like the whole idea of like, there is the world.
There's a world where it happens, and that's why I picked it, you know, because I think that it could happen. Like, I actually think it could. A notable guy that I left off, I think a lot of people would put on here is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But I just don't think the Thunder are going to be good enough.
That'd be a huge jump.
Because he was first team All-NBA this year, you know, so like, but he was on a 40-win team. If he puts up the same numbers on a 45-win team, I still don't think he can win the MVP. You know, that's just kind of where I stand with that.
I think you almost got to, right now in the league, you almost got to be doing it for a few years to even get considered. Like, you can't be a one-year wonder and just get tossed into the award.
Definitely, yeah. Who do you think? Who are you picking right now though to win the MVP next
year?
Tatum.
I think Tatum's going to come in next year pissed off, and he's my MVP favorite. I'm really excited because I like Tatum a lot. Yeah. I became a big Tatum fan over the past few years when I was not a Tatum believer for a little bit. I don't think the Celtics fans helped that. I think there's something going on there in Boston. But I do love Jason Tatum, and I think this is his year to win it.
I would agree, honestly. Like, if I'm gonna pick someone different because you're not, but like, I think I'd rather take Tatum over Luka for this year.
Me too.
You know? But
I think the wins.
Luka is the obvious one. Like, Luka has to get one at some point, and this year could be the year. I'm not gonna be boring, but if I was picking like legit who I actually think is gonna win it, it's Jokic. Like, Jokic is gonna play games. He's going to put up them numbers, and he's coming off of a championship. Like, people want to reward him still for winning the championship. You know, it wasn't like this where he'd won 2 in a row, and it's like, we can't give him a third one in a row. Mm-hmm. Now it's like he won the finals. Like, they're going to want to give him one over Embiid now, you know, since that narrative is there. But I think I'm going to take Steph Curry to win the MVP next year. I really think this Warriors squad's going to be good as shit, and regular season-wise. And I think that Steph is going to win the MVP. That's my pick. And I like the Booker pick, too.
I'm really off the Warriors, I think. I don't think I'm on the same level with the Warriors. I'm not sold on Chris Paul being able to step in and play.
I'm just excited to see what
it's going to look so weird.
What's it going to... Just seeing him in the Warriors jersey. Like, take that off, dude. Okay, but now I have a fun game that we're going to play about MVPs that I didn't tell you about. So we're going to play... Will this guy win an MVP in his career?
Okay.
This is a fun game because you start saying yes too much, and then it's like, where are these MVPs coming from?
Yep.
Are they 4 of them winning it the same year? So I wrote down 9 names. I'm going to ask of young guys in the NBA that haven't won an MVP. Will they win an MVP? There's some obvious ones in here, but we'll go ahead. Will Jason Tatum win an MVP in his career?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, I probably think so too. Will Anthony Edwards win an MVP in his career?
Man, that's a tough one. There's a lot of people who think Anthony Edwards is the future. I mean, he's super electric. He's a beast. Number 1 pick out of Georgia, and he's kind of lived up. I mean, he's lived up to that ever since.
Yeah.
And just been growing and growing every year, and the hype continues to build in Minnesota about what Anthony Edwards is. Oh, but have I seen enough to toss my chips in? And will he ever win one over JT, Luka Doncic? I'm gonna say no. He will not win an MVP.
Gotcha.
Man, dude, there's a lot.
I'm not answering these questions, by the way.
You don't have to.
They're too hard.
You don't
have just to. For you. Will Luka Doncic win an MVP in his career?
That's an obvious one.
Like, he'll probably win multiple MVPs.
30-point triple-double will get him an MVP.
Yes, exactly. I'm surprised it hasn't already. Will Donovan Mitchell win an MVP in his career?
No. I'm going to say
kind of already made that.
Yeah, I made that point.
Now, will Devin Booker win an MVP in his career?
This is a guy I can see winning the MVP. I mean, it takes 1 year when he's 29, 30 years old, 28, of averaging 35 points a game on the best team in the league. That's Devin Booker's ceiling to me. Yeah, Devin Booker can win an MVP.
Yeah. Will Ja Morant win an MVP?
No. We haven't seen a player, his play style, the way he controls the game, win an MVP since Russ. But again, it was like the triple doubles thing,
right?
Like Ja Morant don't be doing that triple doubles right now. Mm-hmm. We haven't. I mean, I guess D Rose before that was just a horseshit statement.
It was.
What a terrible statement it was. I mean, D Rose and Russell Westbrook are prime examples.
Steve Nash.
Very similar play. Oh, I'm gonna say no though. I don't think Ja's got that.
I personally think Ja Morant will have a multiple MVP caliber seasons, but this is where I'm getting political. I think that the NBA will not give Ja Morant the MVP based on his history.
He's going to have to force it.
Off-court history. I think Ja Morant has had an MVP caliber season. I think this past season was an MVP caliber season. And I think he will get better and better, and he's on really good teams. But I don't think he'll win one because of the off-the-court things, which is kind of bullshit. It's about basketball. It's just how I feel.
He does act a fool sometimes.
Oh, no, I'm not saying he doesn't. But this award is his most valuable citizen.
For sure.
It's most valuable on the court, you know?
But I do kind of understand. I understand where they're coming from at the same time.
I do, but also this is about basketball. It's not about politics. It's not about PR, you know? I mean, it kind of is about PR, but
at the end of the day, it is.
Yeah, it's tough.
But they gave AI one.
Shohei, dude, I just got an alert from ESPN. Shohei had 46 fantasy points today.
In those combined games?
Yeah.
That is
But
unreal.
I don't think you started him in the pitching slot.
No.
I'm playing against you. He probably had 30-something in that game. 46, it's the most ever by a player in ESPN fantasy baseball.
That's
46
crazy.
doesn't sound like a lot because in football, that's just someone gets that every week. I mean, obviously it's a lot, but The max you can get is like 30 from a pitcher. The max you can get from a batter is like 15. Like, it's not a lot. So that's pretty crazy. Okay, how many? Where did I leave off? Okay, I have 3 more.
John Morant was the guy.
Yes, 3 more. These ones are definitely the most like, I'm ending it with a specific one.
Yeah.
Will Shai Gilgeous-Alexander win an MVP in his career?
I'm gonna say yeah. I think he can do it with the scoring. It's similar to the Donovan Mitchell thing.
Yeah.
Where it's just the amount of points these guys score and the efficiency they have the ability to do it on. I mean, Shai Gilgeous might average 30 on 55% shooting, like KD almost did
For
this
sure,
yeah. He's just unreal.
Will LaMelo Ball win an MVP in his career?
No.
I was either going to do him or Trae Young, and I decided to go with LaMelo Ball. But I knew you would say no to Trae Young.
And I'm one of the bigger LaMelo Ball not fans right now.
Okay.
Just like, and
okay, here's the question.
Not a fan.
Go ahead. Sorry.
It's not that I'm not a fan of him, of like the sense. I don't believe he's a championship caliber player as the best player on a team.
Could definitely see that.
I think he's like a third best player on a championship caliber team.
So I actually was going to do him or Trae Young, and then I almost did Paolo Banchero, but I didn't do him because he's only a rookie. Mm-hmm. What would you have said to Banchero?
I would have said, I would have probably said, yeah, he could win.
Okay,
it.
let's restart this. I never asked this. Will Paolo Banchero win an MVP in his career?
I think Paolo Banchero could win an MVP in his career.
Okay.
Shocked. 20. I mean, he has to get his 3-point numbers up. But
he was a rookie.
But he missed. What did he make? Take
like 28%, I think, from 3. Yeah.
He shot 50 in a row and missed 50 in a row, or was it 100?
I think it was like 100 in a row. Yeah. But he's a rookie. I mean, like you can't. He's a rookie. Like
rookie shit. What?
And no one comes in and shoots the lights out as a rookie, especially as a number 1 option like he was. You know.
Yeah.
Like his shooting will get better. Like it's not. He's not going to shoot that bad his whole career. You know.
But I'm just not sure. Like, does he ever look like the engine of that offense? I wonder. Like, as in, like having the ball every single possession, or does he become like this, short corner elbow type guy? I'm curious where his.
So just
he's so young.
For your information, out of the 9 names I've asked, or 10 actually, you have said that 5 will win MVPs, and that obviously is not including any more from Jokic or Giannis or Embiid or multiple MVPs out of any of these guys.
You're right.
Or any incoming rookies.
So I have to backtrack my statement?
No, you don't. No, you don't at all. I'm just saying, like,
because there's a guy you haven't.
Not
named.
everyone can win an MVP. And the last guy, will Cade Cunningham win an MVP in his career?
And me and Paul were talking about this. Cade is so tough because we just haven't seen enough. I'm going to say Cade will, as of right now, but Paolo Banchero or Cade Cunningham. I'm taking Cade every day of the damn week. Give me Cade Cunningham. Yeah, he'll win one.
Okay.
He'll win one.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to track my statement on Paolo.
Okay.
Paolo's
taking it away
back
from
to a no.
Yeah, okay.
And the name you didn't say that I was hoping you would say.
I know.
Who?
Will Victor Wembanyama win an MVP in his career?
Absolutely. There will be a year where he averages 25, 12, and 3 blocks. Like, that will happen in Victor Wembanyama's career. And at that moment, he becomes MVP. He will win an MVP.
So that's 7 MVPs that you've named, 7 different ones.
Wait, did you count Paulo? Or
yes,
did you
I did.
Yeah.
I did count.
But can you remove him
okay,
from the count?
6. No, it's still 7. He's had 5 before. I don't know. I can't remember. Okay, are we ready to do our top 10 power forwards? We've been doing this long enough. What time is it?
We're an hour in.
Okay. This can be fast because these lists aren't that important.
They're really not that interesting anymore. They used to be a lot more.
Yeah, they're really
when we
not
would argue.
Anymore. They're just for TikTok. Top 10 power forwards in the... What, dude?
9 over 10 is crazy.
Okay. Top 10 power forwards in the NBA. Once again, we had to talk about positions because we did this in our own. We decided to say, screw the websites. We're doing this on our own. So Anthony Davis is going to be on the centers list. So he's like the only guy that you would think that would be here that's not. By the way, quick question. Did you count Kristaps Porzingis as a power forward?
No.
Okay, I didn't either. I was making sure because I would think he was a center. He's probably not going to be a center on Boston, but on Washington he was. So, and Karl Anthony Towns is a power forward. That's about it. So last week, by the way, we didn't go over our last year's small forwards list afterwards.
Wasn't it really boring?
It was really boring. Last year's power forwards is definitely like more interesting. This year's list is way better though because certain guys got better. Give me your honorable mentions.
Couple honorable mentions here. 1, Kyle Kuzma, and 2, Harrison Barnes are my 2 honorable mentions.
Wow. Harrison Barnes making the honorable mentions.
I average like 15 a game.
I feel like I have such better honorable mentions.
That's scary.
Like I think you already forgot, dudes. Okay. I have 4 honorable mentions. Kyle Kuzma, Jeremy Grant, Paulo Banchero, and Draymond Green are my 4 honorable mentions. Tough leaving a few of those guys off. I definitely thought Jeremy Grant, I would say Jeremy Grant was the first guy off. I would give him the nod over the other 3.
He's higher than Kuzma too. I just didn't give him the love.
Yeah, that's okay.
Didn't give him the love he deserves.
Okay, number 10.
My number 10 is Paulo Banchero, coming off his rookie year, 20 points a game, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 42% shooting. Unreal shooter. Unreal scorer for his age and his size. Like we said, he needs the damn jump shot.
Yep.
Learn how to shoot the 3 ball, dude. Come on.
He'll figure it out.
It's a modern NBA, buddy.
My number 10 is NBA champion Aaron Gordon. Probably, Kenny was talking about this on his podcast, but like there needs to be like a role player of the year award, and he said that like Aaron Gordon like wins it.
For sure.
For sure wins it. I mean, Aaron Gordon had such a good year this year, really under the radar. Had a career high in points in 6. Actually, I can't confirm that it's a career high, but like no shot he scored more than 16 ever, right?
No, not in Orlando.
Yeah, that's
he
what
was
I'm
not
saying.
doing
Like,
that. No.
16 points per game on pretty good efficiency, 6.5 rebounds, and we saw what he did in the playoffs defensively. He locked up KD in that series. He freaking locked up. Who did they play in the conference finals? I'm now like forgetting this.
It was a team.
The Lakers. He locked up LeBron
Yeah.
and a little bit of AD. Didn't really guard AD that much, but and then in the NBA Finals, he had the Jimmy Butler assignment and took that on as well too. Like Aaron Gordon was so good in these playoffs and had also one of the craziest poster dunks in a few years earlier in the regular season. I forget who that was against, but wow, that was.
I don't remember what you're talking about.
You'll remember if I show you.
Did he like put the dude through the rim?
It was like late in the game, like he went coast to coast, like absolutely threw it down.
It's his muscles are awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm kidding. That was such a joke.
Okay, number 9.
My number 9 is Evan Mobley, a guy that going into this I thought was going to be a lot higher. His scoring numbers just aren't there, averaging 16.2 points per game, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 55% shooting, which is really good, but he just doesn't score the ball that much, and 1.5 blocks a game. We know Evan Mobley's out there because he's this big defender wing in a center's body who's 7 feet tall. He's an unreal defender, switches incredible. His feet are unreal. And I'm excited to see if he like starts to take a leap in that scoring column or if this is kind of who he is for his whole career. Like if this is kind of his role.
This is the dunk. Sorry, I know we're taking a little stoppage here, but
yeah. That's disgusting.
Who was it on? Could you tell? Was it Torrey Craig?
No, it's Landry Shamet.
Oh, Landry Shamet. What are you doing getting dunked on like that, dude? Shamet? All right.
God, Shamet.
My number 9 is also Evan Mobley. Yeah, Evan Mobley is one of the up-and-coming talents in this league. For sure can break out. Like you said, the scoring numbers aren't really there, but he made an all-defensive team in his second season in the NBA and realistically could have made one in his first season. I'm in the camp that I think that if anyone was going to win the Rookie of the Year over Cade Cunningham 2 seasons ago, it was Evan Mobley. Still believe that. And Evan Mobley is only going to get higher and higher and higher on this list going forward.
My number 8 is Julius Randle. Averaged 25 points per game, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 46%. When I read those numbers, it sounds like, oh, that guy's number 8. But like, if you've just read those numbers, you would think that's a low number. But you watch the guy play, and it's a totally different feel. We saw what they did during the regular season. The Knicks were this incredible team. They get to the playoffs, and Julius Randle might as well have not been there. That's how bad he was when it came to the playoff basketball.
He was playing injured, but you're still right.
You're still on the floor at the end of the day. His numbers don't do him justice. He averages like 0.3 steals a game and 0.6 blocks. Like, what are you doing out there? And we know he's a cone out there on defense. It's like being guarded by the parked car. You can just go right around it. But I don't know. Julius Randle's just in this limbo of like, we go through these
really weird
ups and downs of, man, he looks unstoppable. And then it's like, this guy sucks.
He didn't make my list last year, and the year before he was like top 5.
Yes.
Pretty sure. You had him over Anthony Davis 2 years ago. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That was crazy.
That was the worst thing.
And
I've
last
ever
year,
done.
Randle missed my list completely. which is crazy. My number 8 is Lauri Markkanen of the Utah Jazz. Most improved player, averaged 25 a game, 8.5 rebounds, 39% from 3 on 7.7 attempts. I mean, what a good... Lauri Markkanen is one of them guys, like that is a dream NBA player, like the season that he just had this past year. Because his ability to shoot the 3 ball, no one can contest it. And when he attacks the hoop, like he's low-key kind of ferocious when he attacks the hoop. He can throw it down.
He's yamming on people.
Yeah, he really is. His ability to play the 3 in Cleveland the year before really definitely excelled him into this all-star level player that he was this past year. I was looking at the way I was kind of trying to read all these power forwards was I saw a list that was going into this season ranking the power forwards, and somebody had... Lauri Markkanen was ranked like 20-something, and I forget who was ranked over him. Oh, I wish I would remember. It was somebody like hilarious they had ranked over Lauri Markkanen. Yeah, like it was like Torrey Craig or something like that. Like it was so funny. But yeah, Markkanen's my number 8.
My number 7 is Lauri Markkanen, the marksman. The ability to score the basketball at that size, that efficiently, is pretty unreal. And typically we see these big men who shoot 55% from the field, but not in the shots that Lauri Markkanen was taking. Right. These are off the dribble pull-ups. These are turnaround fadeaways. These are 3 balls. He was unreal this year in Utah. The reason he isn't higher is because they didn't win more games. Like if this team would have been better and Lauri still does what he does, which I think is possible, maybe on like 23 points a game on some elite squad, but man, he's like a scary guy going forward. Of like if they get a good team around him, he could be a monster.
Yeah, this is a year I think the Jazz, which like this is not the best draft. The Jazz could benefit from having like a shitty year and getting like a young stud to like make a duo there. Obviously, Kessler is kind of like in that to make a trio too. But like they could really benefit from like having a top 3 pick next year, essentially, which I could see the lottery like awarding them.
Bazulis?
Mates Buzelis.
Is that the number 1 guy?
He's like in the him and like Ron Holland are like the 2. They're both G League guys, which is kind of interesting. So
is this Bazulis' second year? In the G League?
I don't think so. Okay. I don't believe so.
We'll have to check.
A couple guys are like Scoot Henderson was a 2-year G League guy, like so. A couple guys are, but I don't think he is. I'm pretty sure. No, yeah, he's definitely not because he played on the Sunrise Academy last year.
Yep.
Okay. My number 7 is Julius Randle. I do think Julius Randle actually has a really good offensive game, like for his skill set. He shot 8.3 threes a game last year, like a huge leap. He shot only like 5 the year before. Only shot 34%, so not great, but like for shooting 8 of them a game, 34% out of a guy like Julius Randle, I think is solid. Like you said, he averaged 25 points per game. One underrated thing about Julius Randle is, though, at least when I watch him play, he is actually such a good rebounder. He is like, that ball's like a magnet. It comes to him. Like, in the games against the Pistons, they played the Pistons really early on a lot last year. He had like 15 boards in every single one of them games. He ended up averaging a double-double this year. But like you said, he's been such a up and down guy. Last year, everyone hated him because he wasn't very good. The year before was his most improved player year. This past year, he was pretty good. So, like, where is he at as an NBA player? He was second team All NBA this year. Like, that is pretty unreal. Or maybe he was third team. I can't remember. Third team. But still, Randle had a good year, and he's my number 7.
My number 6 is Trey J. Jaren Jackson Jr. 19 points per game, 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 50% shooting, 35% shooting from 3 on 4 attempts.
Give me that.
I mean, he looks like a third grader out there shooting.
It don't look good.
But it go in. And on top of all these numbers, the depoy. How unreal of a season for Jaren Jackson Jr. on the Memphis Grizzlies. He was the anchor of their defense. He's a stud on defense, and that's where he gets the most majority of his value from.
My number 6 is Pascal Siakam. I'm kicking him out of the top 5. Now, that's not saying anything because Siakam had a really good year this past year. He had like a stretch, too. He had like a month this year. I can't remember which month it was, where he was doing some crazy like type behavior. He was averaging like 30-some points per game over a month on crazy shooting.
Weren't the Raptors really good in that month,
I think so, too. Like, he had a month this year where I think he won Player of the Month where he was going crazy. And I think Siakam is still like a really good NBA player. He's been like 2-time All-NBA at this point, too. 24, 8, and 6 for him this past year. I just think that a certain guy that you just said is taking the leap over him.
Big on Jaren Jackson Jr. My number 5 is Zion Williamson.
Ooh.
Zion's an interesting case. Averaged 26 points a game, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 block on 60% shooting, which is unreal for a guy who's 6'7". But he only played in 26 games. It's a small sample size. When Zion's on the floor, he's unreal. But it's when Zion's on the floor. I feel like every time I talk about Zion, it's the same damn story. And I think that's all I'm going to give. The guys in front of him,
talked about it quite a lot.
They play more.
Yeah. My number 5 is Jaren Jackson Jr. of the Memphis Grizzlies, the reigning defensive player of the year. You already talked about his numbers. Anchored that defense for those guys, especially with Steven Adams out there. Really tough to go at that team inside the paint. Led the NBA in blocks. I've loved to see what Jaren Jackson has become after watching him at Michigan State. He seems so much bigger now, too. Like, he seems so much bigger than he was in college, which he probably is. But yeah, I think Jaren has really taken that leap. He was an all-star too, which was like really shocking. Mm-hmm. And obviously he won the DPOY, so he's my number 5.
My number 4 is Pascal Siakam. He's a great defender. He's an elite athlete. He's an incredible scorer, even though he just spams double-click the X button.
But it works.
It works. What you gonna do about it?
Plus, I actually haven't seen a meme like that in like a year or so.
Yeah, and the other thing is everybody has their go-to move.
Yeah.
Like, AI had his crossover. What's the difference? It ends up the same result. Buckets. So who cares?
Can't be that mad about it, yeah.
But yeah, Pascal number 4. There's not much to say.
My number 4 is Karl Anthony Towns of the Minnesota Timberwolves, being added to the power forwards list. Cat had a really weird year this year because he was injured for quite a long time. I didn't write down the amount of games he played. But the adjustment to the 4 is weird. I don't think he needs to be playing the 4. I think that this should be the last year he's on this power forwards list. But they can't trade Rudy Gobert, so they got to trade him, and it's kind of late to trade him now. It's a little too late into the offseason, unless you go get Dame. But Cat was coming off of the greatest year of his career, and he got paid the ultimate Duffy, and now he's on a contract that most teams probably don't want for a guy that of his caliber. He's still one of the best offensive big men in the NBA. To him, he's the best offensive big man of all time, or best shooting big man of all time, whatever he said.
Which he is.
Which, sure, you can be, but, like, Dirk is, dude. Like, I'm taking Dirk.
Yeah, it's like the whole, like, new age attempt thing.
Exactly, yeah. Like, I'm taking Dirk. Yeah. But... Cat is still a really good offensive player. He just cannot be playing the 4. It can't happen. And you have Naz Reid, who you just paid to. Weird situation there, but Cat's number 4.
My number 3 is Karl Anthony Towns, and the Timberwolves got him screwed up. You don't pay your superstar player to have to morph his game for other guys. It's the other way around. Everybody should have to morph their game to how Cat plays. You paid this guy. You said you're our star, even though, like, we don't even know that anymore. It's probably Ant now. Yeah. But they paid him as if, and then said, we actually want you to change the way you play. Even though we didn't pay you to be the guy.
In the same off season.
Yeah, even though we didn't pay you to be the guy that we're going to tell you to be. Cat, I said it from the very start, he's too slow to play the 4. Yeah. His feet just do not move fast enough. And the combination of him and Rudy Gobert, it looks great when they're both not on the floor. So I guess the combination looks terrible, but when they're solos on the floor, they look awesome. When
it's Naz Reid and Taurean Prince out there, hey, they're pretty solid.
They are.
My number 3 is Zion Williamson. I understand the games played thing, but man, is he good when he plays. Mm-hmm. He's so good when he plays. He's so dominant. And the Pelicans were really good before he got hurt. They were the number 1 team in the West, and he had that disrespectful 360 dunk against the Suns that they were pissed about. But I thought it was cool.
For sure.
And I thought that Zion was cool.
That was a cool play.
And I have him in fantasy, so, like, please play this year, man. Like, the whole year.
I forget. That's part of the reason I have him at 5. It's like that plays into it.
Exactly. He's my number 3.
My number 2 is Kevin Durant. 50, 40, 90, and a BNX 29 points per game on 56% shooting total. He's just unreal. My number 1 is also Giannis Antetokounmpo. He could win the MVP like every year for the next 5 years, 7 years.
Totally. I have Kevin Durant as number 2. Like you said, he was 50, 40, 90 this past year. I feel like that went pretty under the radar. It's a pretty like rare achievement to do, and he did it. And Giannis Antetokounmpo is number 1. He's made first team All-NBA 5 years in a row now. I don't know if that's ever been done. It definitely has been done, but I don't know like how many times that's been done. That'd be a fun trivia. But he's probably going to get it again this year and maybe for the next 5 years after that. So
would be a fun trivia.
It would be.
I wonder if Jordan's done it because Jordan had that 2-year stretch though.
That's a good point. No, he had to do it at the beginning of his career.
Like 88 to 93.
For sure, yeah. Because he definitely
for
did,
sure.
Yeah. Okay, it's time for trivia. So if you don't like trivia, get the hell out of here because we're doing trivia.
We don't even like you.
It's late night trivia.
That was a joke.
So I might forget. So I have 2 trivias. So like, can I go first? One of them's quick.
Yep.
Like I said, I had a trivia and I abandoned it. It was most free throws made in the last 10 seasons. But it's just all the same names that we recycle. You know, it's Harden and Dame and Giannis. Like, who cares about that? Let's do something fun. Let's do a hard one first, huh? And then we'll do the football one second.
Yeah.
So I was just talking. Pretty rare achievement to be 50, 40, 90 club, huh? Tell me every dude that's ever done 50, 40, 90.
Okay.
There has been 8 guys. It has been done multiple times by 3 guys.
Okay. I know Steve Nash did it twice, back to back.
Steve Nash did it 4 times.
It's so crazy.
Yes.
Steph Curry had 50, 40, 90.
Steph Curry has a 50, 40, 90 season.
I'm going to be honest. From here, I'm not really I don't know the history of 50, 40, 90.
I mean, I kind of like...
Oh, Mark Price.
Mark Price is... Well, that's the hardest one, for sure. How did you know that?
I just remember he's that's what he's known for in Cleveland. That's the only reason he's remembered.
He's the second earliest dude to do it. He wasn't the first. The first guy did it 2 times before anyone did it a second time. Also, how have you not gotten the one that we were just talking about?
KD was technically, I didn't think he was 50, 40, 90 on the total, was he?
Yeah, he was.
Oh, 50, KD.
But also, he's done it a second time. He did it in OKC as well.
Gotcha. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so KD is on here.
Okay, so how many, you said there was 8 guys?
There's 8 guys. You've got
4.
Mark Price, Steve Nash, KD, and Steph Curry. Only one guy's done it twice, and then the rest are... So 2 guys are not in the league, 2 guys are in the league.
2 guys are not.
And the 2 guys are not in the league. I've not been in the league for a while.
I think Harden did it once.
Harden is not. Strike 1. I forgot about the strikes.
He must have missed his 40.
So
40%.
I will give a hint. The 2 guys that aren't in the league are 2 guys that you would expect. If you're thinking of guys, these
are they
would be the
big
guys.
time shooters?
Yes.
In the 90s and 2000s?
Yes. Or one of them's earlier than the 90s, but
okay.
Yes.
I've got 2, the 2000s names I'm thinking of, and the 90s, 2000s. There's a guy, I think Stojakovic did it. He didn't. That's harder than Mark Price. That's a bad guess.
These guys are
way better.
Are better. The guy that did it twice has won multiple MVPs. The other guy is considered one of the greatest shooters ever. A 90s, early 2000s guy, and then the 2 current guys.
Man. I'm stuck on, I guess, who the 2 current guys
are.
So
the one current guy is a really good player. Did it 2 seasons ago, and we talked about this on the podcast a couple weeks ago, actually, a couple episodes ago. Did it 2 seasons ago, and it went under the radar. And then the other guy, he's probably the worst player on this list, but you kind of remember that he did it because it was so random that he was 50, 40, 90. You know? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I remember the memory of somebody doing 50, 40, 90. We're is he really going to do it?
Okay, this is another hit. This guy has won multiple awards in his career as well, but not MVP. But he's won 2 different awards, but he's not that good.
Yeah,
and he's 50, 40, 90. So his resume, low-key, is kind of crazy.
And it's weird, and it's all over the place.
But he's just a solid player.
Okay, so is the guy who I would expect to do it, is he a younger guy?
That's in the NBA?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, there's not a young guy on here.
No, this guy's very efficient though. You know that he's an efficient player. And he also shouldn't be efficient by the way he plays.
I feel so I want to say dumb because I can't.
You want to say dumb?
Is Reggie Miller on the list?
Reggie Miller is the 90s, 2000s
It was
guy.
between him and Peja for that 90s, 2000s guy.
Reggie Miller was 50, 40,
The
90.
MVP's guy is...
you're going to be so
Larry
mad.
Bird did not do it, did he?
Larry Bird did it twice before anybody else did.
I didn't know that Larry Bird went 50, 40, 90.
Yeah, twice. He did it 2 times before Mark Price.
Okay, so now I got 2 current guys.
Yes.
Now I feel a lot better.
Yeah. Say, if you wouldn't have got Larry Bird like that, I feel like you would have been so mad.
Well, and it's just it feels too obvious. It because I feel like I would have heard of it.
He was the OG,
but nobody
50,
talks about
40,
it. They just say he's the best shooter.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, one really good superstar player, one role player, but it's just you remember that he
is Dame the superstar.
Dame is not the superstar. That is a very good guess. You would think it's him.
It's my third strike.
Kyrie Irving was 50, 40, 90 in Brooklyn 2 seasons ago. And it went really under the radar because it was the season before he sat out all the games.
Barely played enough, I thought, right? Did he play 50 something?
He played 54, yeah. Which I don't know if there's a threshold because KD only played 50 something this past year. Might be
shots taken.
I'm not really sure. Yeah. Malcolm Brogdon was 50, 40, 90.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
A Rookie of the Year winner and a Sixth Man of the Year winner. And
that dude's resume is deep.
And now he's won the 50, and he was 50, 40, 90. Did he do it with the Pacers No, he did it with the Bucks, and they got paid by the Pacers.
Dude with the Bucks is their fourth best player.
Yeah. What? How do you shoot 50, 40, 90 as a role player?
You are elite.
You need to shoot more. You need to not be a role player. Okay, go ahead.
It's never worked, but he's not. I have for you the top 10 receiving yards leaders in the NFC North since 2010.
Oh, wow. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Wow. NFC North leaders since 2010.
And receiving yards.
Oh, wow. That is a good one.
Can I have that pen?
Yeah. Okay, so I really can't mess this up. I got to go team by team here.
It's perfect because this is your prime as a you started in 2010. Yeah. As a football fan.
For sure.
I originally did 2000, and there were guys I was I've never heard of this guy.
Definitely.
2010, I'm excited for this, man.
So Calvin Johnson's going to be on here.
Calvin Johnson's number 1.
Really?
8,500.
I didn't know because obviously 16 or 16 was his last year, I think. So I didn't know how high he'd be. I figured he'd obviously be on here. Other Lions guys, Golden Tate's probably on here, but I'm not going to guess him just yet. Kenny G definitely could be on here just because he was pretty good for a few years. Marvin Jones, maybe. The Bears, is Alshon Jeffrey on here?
He's number 9.
Okay.
His best season being in 2013.
Okay. That's the only Bears guy that pops off for me. Maybe Matt Forte just because he was there for so long. Okay, give me how many non-wide receivers are on the list?
1.
And what is he? Tight end or running back? Okay, so no running backs.
No.
Okay, good. Because I didn't want to.
And when you really think about it, this guy's kind of obvious.
Okay.
He played 140 games.
Oh, okay. Wow.
In the NFC North.
Gotcha. Okay. Packers for sure are going to have Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams is number 2 with 8,121 yards.
And Jordy Nelson.
Number 3, 7,000.
And Randall Cobb.
Randall Cobb, number 5 with 6,300.
And there's a few others that might be on here, Packers guys. No, there can't be. Okay. So now I go to the Vikings. The Vikings have a few guys that are Adam Thielen probably's on here. But I would feel like an idiot if it's Jets. Oh, no, it's not Jets. There's no. Since 2010?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, Greg Jennings is going to be on here. Greg Jennings is on here.
He's not on here.
Oh, he's not? He
No.
played with the Packers and the Vikings. That's
He ain't on
crazy.
there.
What's going on in mind of Greg Jennings?
I put the team on my back.
A broken leg, it don't matter. Wow, Greg Jennings didn't make
broke
it.
my leg.
I shouldn't have guessed another. Okay. See, now I'm really now
Dude, you are.
Okay, so you said the tight end one is kind of obvious.
He's number 10 though, but you're really overthinking these.
Okay, my tight end guess is Kyle Rudolph.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yep. He played for 2, right? Bears and Vikings?
I don't think he played for the Bears. I think he just played for the Vikings. Gotcha. He went to the Giants, and he was on the Bucks last year. But yeah, he played for a long time. So how many am I missing?
You're missing 1, 2, 3, 4. You're missing 4, 6, 7, and 8.
Okay. I'm skipping the Vikings. Fuck them. Because Adam Thielen's probably on here, but I'm not going to guess him yet. Diggs, no. Jets, maybe, just because he's had 3 crazy years.
Kyle Rudolph is on here, by the way. I don't know if I said the yards for the top guys.
Yeah, give me Kyle Rudolph's yards.
4,488.
Okay. Jets had 1,600 his second year and then 1,800 last year. So that's a good amount of yards. But I'm going to not do it yet.
That's a good amount.
Golden Tate's on here.
Golden Tate is number 7 with 4,741.
Okay. So I'm missing 2 or 3?
3. Number 4, number 6, and number 8.
4. I'm missing number 4. Okay, I am going to ask for this hint. How many Lions am I missing?
0.
Okay, I didn't want to guess Kenny Galladay, so I'm happy. Okay, no Lions.
Just Golden Tate and Calvin.
Okay, I have to go back to the Bears, actually, because I kind of just guessed Alshon Jeffrey and then skipped over him. Like Brandon Marshall, like, no, there's no freaking shot Brandon Marshall did. He played for the Bears for like 2 years. There's got to be a Bears guy that I'm forgetting about for sure. Is there a Bears guy on here?
No.
No Bears guy?
No.
Okay,
I can't keep doing this.
You're right. I can't do that anymore.
I don't know why you haven't guessed a Jet. Or not a Jet, a freaking Viking. I just don't get why.
I guess Kyle Rudolph.
Okay, but like...
Okay, is Jets on here?
He is on here at number 6.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, I guess it makes sense. Like, he's had like 1,600 yards, like, or 1,500 his first 3 years. So,
and like the difference between him and Randall Cobb is 1,500 yards.
Wow.
It's 48,000 or 4,800 to 6,300. So like, there's a big jump there.
Okay. So I'm missing 2.
You're missing 4 and 8.
And they're either Vikings or Packers.
Yep.
This is a fun trivia. I like this one. Okay. So like Donald Driver maybe for the Packers. I got to think of like, is Adam Thielen on here?
Adam Thielen's number 4.
Okay, that's what I thought. I debated Adam Thielen.
Dude is such a hater.
I hate Adam Thielen.
He's such a hater.
Oh, I hate Adam Thielen, man. Can't stand that dude.
He has 2,000 more yards than Jets.
I hate him.
In the NFC
I don't
North,
care. I hate him.
You were like NFC North.
Okay.
Like, Thielen was the best wide receiver there for a while.
And I'm just missing number 8. Right?
Yeah, just number 8.
Give me a time frame that you think this took place. Don't give me the team.
He played pre-2018.
So like not in the NFL anymore.
No, he is. Like,
Okay.
but he's not in the NFC North anymore.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. So like that's making me think it's Diggs, but like, I don't think it's a Packer. Like, I really don't think it's a Packer. Like, I already named like 5 Packers. There's just no shot that there's one. Do I have 2 strikes or 1?
Actually, I named 3 Packers, interestingly enough. You have 2 strikes.
Oh, crap. Who's my other strike? I got Greg Jennings.
Greg Jennings, and there was another guy.
There was, yeah. I just can't remember.
Was it a Lion? No. It was maybe it was just Greg Jennings.
Maybe it was just Greg Jennings, now that I think about it.
Maybe you're at 1. We'll call you 1.
For the hints. Okay, since I'm only at 1, is it Diggs?
It's Diggs.
Okay.
It's Stephon Diggs with 4,673 yards. So your top 10 receiving yards in order: Calvin Johnson, Devontae Adams, Jordy Nelson, Adam Thielen, Randall Cobb, Jay Jettis, Golden Tate, Stephon Diggs, Alshon Jeffrey, and Kyle Rudolph.
Shout out the Bears for having 1, and it's at the bottom. Shout out
that
Jay
really
Cutler.
showed me how bad they were. It was like a whoa.
Well, it's not just how bad they were. It's like their quarterback play. Name me Bears quarterbacks in history.
It's just Jay Cutler.
It's Jay Cutler. He's
That's the
your
only guy I
greatest
know.
ever. What? Fields is gonna be the greatest ever, and it's Fields.
And it's gonna be in 1 year. Like next year, he'll be the best ever.
It's so funny. Yeah, that was a good trivia. I really liked that one. That was really fun.
It's good because it's your peak fandom.
Oh,
and
I
all the
hate
guys
all
you
those
hate.
teams,
That's
bro.
what I mean. You hate Jordy
Bro,
Nelson.
Jordy
you hate
Nelson.
Devontae Adams.
And I actually didn't hate Greg Jennings that much, which is kind of surprising because he literally played for the Vikings and the Packers. Hated Randall Cobb. To this day, I hate Randall Cobb.
I can't believe he's still in the league.
Because he ain't that good, dude. He's just Aaron Rodgers' little buddy. Like,
I thought you were going to get much more graphic.
Alshon Jeffrey, I liked Alshon Jeffrey, though. I was a fan of his. Kyle Rudolph, despised him. Oh, man, despised Kyle
140 games. Calvin Johnson played like 80 or 70 or something.
Yeah, that's pretty
Rudolph playing 140 is ridiculous. How many years is that? I mean, that's 16 seasons.
Probably like 2014 to just a couple years back. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Okay, my trivia for you, the last one. It is NFL trivia.
Fantasy.
Kind of fantasy.
I knew it.
It involves fantasy, but it's not like fantasy points or anything. Okay. This is not an easy one, but it's definitely not like hard. Like, you should be able to do this. Can you name me the top 10 total touchdowns last year? Throwing touchdowns.
So QBs don't count.
Non-throwing touchdowns.
Okay.
Last season. So let me rephrase.
Yeah.
Give me the top 10 rushing plus receiving touchdowns last year.
Gotcha.
By players.
Okay.
And
Jamal Williams.
Sorry, before you say it. There's 11 on here because like 4 dudes were tied at the end. Go ahead.
Jamal Williams.
Jamal Williams is number 2, had 17 touchdowns. All of them were rushing.
Austin Eckler.
Austin Eckler, number 1 with 18 total touchdowns last season.
Who else be scored? Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs is tied for 8th with 12. He's one of them bottom dudes.
Okay. 12. Man, I thought that number would be kind of higher.
12 is the bottom.
Oh, the wide receivers is honestly where it gets really hard for me. And I know there's no more running backs on this list. Like, did Derrick Henry? I'm going to go Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry is number 4 with 13, tied for 4th.
Running backs just get more touchdowns. I mean, it's just way harder to get a touchdown as a receiver.
Definitely.
But, no, he didn't do it. Who's another? Like, they didn't even score 12 touchdowns this year. Thinking of the Patriots, I was thinking about Ramondre Stevenson.
Hell no. Hell no.
They didn't even score that many touchdowns. So is there a receiver on here?
There is a wide receiver on here.
One.
Jets did not have 12 touchdowns last season.
One strike.
Diggs
Diggs? Okay.
is not on here. He's 2 striking on the receiver.
I don't give a shit about them. I do not care about them.
Okay, so here's my hint I will give you. Now that you're at 2 strikes. There's 1 wide receiver on here, but there are 3 non-running backs on here.
Oh, Travis Kelce's on here.
Travis Kelce is on here. He had 12 touchdowns.
There are 1 wide receiver, 3 non-running backs. How many guys have I guessed out of 11?
You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Missing 6 guys, so you have 4 running backs and 1 wide receiver and 1 something else. And it could be like...
Think
about what I said in the beginning.
It could be like Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts had 13 rushing touchdowns last season.
That's ridiculous.
Wild. So now it's just 1 wide receiver and then 1, 2, 3, 4 running backs.
The running backs are kind of really throwing me for a loop here.
So here's a hint. 2 of them are just like
Tony Pollard.
Tony Pollard, 12 touchdowns last year. That's a good one.
Go on with your hint now.
2 of them are just like 2 of the best running backs in the league. Like, don't overthink it. That's my hint.
Christian
McCaffrey had 13 touchdowns last year. Down to 3 names on the list.
Well, this is one of the best running backs in the league. Because I'm drafting at the 3 spot.
But this guy's not getting picked in the 3rd.
Oh, gotcha.
Like this guy scored more touchdowns than like you would have thought he would get this year.
Okay.
Because he's always been like the really good in real life, not very good in fantasy.
It is also killing me. Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb had 13 touchdowns last year. Yes.
Yeah, he definitely is one of the best running backs in the NFL.
Yeah, but he just don't do good in fantasy.
He's like the opposite of Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Gets none of the hype.
Same as like Kyle Pitts. Like, he actually is a good player. He just isn't good in fantasy. So you're missing a running back and a wide receiver.
The wide receiver's really getting me because...
And the wide receiver is 3rd on the list, by the way. Like, lonely 3rd. He had 14 touchdowns last year. And no wide receiver even made the list other than him.
Oh, and now I'm in the battle between, like... I've got 3 guys, and they're just all right there. And since I've already used 2 guesses, I can't. And it's Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, and it's Devontae Adams. And Devontae didn't do great.
This guy be getting touchdowns. Like, always be getting touchdowns.
Oh, like Devontae Adams.
14 touchdowns last year. You got to remember, he had like 3 games where he had like 3.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he went crazy
all
in
his
a
points.
few games. Yeah. So you're just missing 1 guy. This is a tough one. I don't know if I want to give you a hint, but he's probably definitely the toughest name on the list, I will say.
And it's I know it's ETN. It's somebody on that tier of guy.
Lower. I have a big hint, but it would totally give it away.
Was he a backup?
No.
Did he become a starter midway through the year?
No.
Okay, not the
He's
guy.
not a backup, but he's not like the lead back.
I was thinking P. Ryan.
He's like a shares the backfield type guy. Like, he's the power back. He's the goal line back of his duo, basically. Yep. That's the hint I will give you.
Could be one of them damn Eagles.
on a good offense, too.
It could be one of them damn
This guy's like
Eagles.
a good player.
What'd you say about Miles Sanders? What are you trying to say?
Well, he's not on the Eagles anymore. But yeah, you're right. Last year was. You're right. What are you doing?
In a thinking mode.
I have a huge hint I could give.
Yeah,
it
just
would,
don't.
It would totally give it away.
I don't know the running back, man. The power back in this good offense.
Like, he was a good goal line running back last year. I don't know if he was a good running back, but like good in the Reds, good inside the 5-yard line.
I don't know.
Do you want me to give you like the huge hint?
Yeah.
This guy is not on the same team he was on last year. This guy's no longer on the team he was on last year.
What? Why? Why wouldn't he be? Because like my mind did. I was like, oh, I forgot about Saquon Barkley. But Saquon's on the Giants.
He is.
Dalvin Cook isn't off the Vikings, and he definitely didn't. Dalvin Cook?
It's not Dalvin Cook, no. I'm not going to count that as a guess, though, because I kind of like tricked you into guessing that.
He tricked me. Who is on a different team at running back? David Montgomery?
No. Let me rephrase. This guy is not on the team he was on last year. I never said he was on a different team.
Who else is a free agent?
There you go.
But Dalvin's the only one I can think of off top of my head.
Loki is like a few RBs actually that are just like sitting out there.
I don't know who it is.
Ezekiel Elliott had 12 touchdowns last season. Him and Pollard both making the list.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay
but
with
like
taking
Fournette is another guy that's like just chilling out there.
Yeah.
Still, Dalvin, obviously. There's a few other guys. I can't really remember, but
the running back market ain't that deep, bro.
There it is, guys. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. Hopefully you go check it out and leave us a 5-star rating, and bye.
Bye.